Falcons Talk Season 4, Episode 1 is upon us. Let's kick it off with a 2025 season recap coming up next.
Welcome to Atlanta where the Falcons play, and we coming for that dub like every day. Big beats hit streets, see gangsters roaming, and parties don't stop till 8 in the morning.
I said welcome to Atlanta where the Falcons play, and we going for that dub like every day. Big beats hit the streets, see gangsters roaming, and parties don't stop till 8 in the morning.
What's good, YouTube? It's that one Falcons fan here, and welcome back to Falcons Talk Season 4. We made it to Season 4, folks. For those that have been with me for a long time, you know how it goes. But for anyone new to the channel, Falcons Talk is my end-of-season series where I talk all Atlanta Falcons football throughout the entire offseason, going into detail about everything the Falcons do, from the schedule to the draft class to free agency. I cover all season long before the new season starts. So I hope you guys enjoy. And with that being said, let's begin. The 2025 Atlanta Falcons season finished 8-9. No playoffs, same record as last year, and I know how that sounds. Because the second you hear 8-9, it feels like nothing has changed from last year. It feels like we're still stuck in neutral. But the truth is a little more complicated than that, Falcons fans. Because this season wasn't defined by lack of effort or talent. It was defined by instability, timing, and a team that never fully settled into rhythm until it was too little, too late. Before the season even started, y'all knew it. I said it. I had the Falcons finishing around 10-7. You can check the videos in my schedule prediction and the outlook for the NFC South. Y'all roasted me hard on that, and I take accountability for making that prediction. I was wrong. But yet again, I said we would go 10-7, competing for a wildcard spot, and I believe this roster was good enough to do it. I believe this defense would improve. I believe the run game would be a strength. I believe that the offense would be explosive. But especially, I believe the quarterback stability situation, at least on paper, would finally exist. Reality, as always, it had other plans. Let's talk about quarterbacks. Speaking of, Michael Penix Jr. opened the season as the starting quarterback, and from week 1, it was clear this was going to be a learning year for him. He even finished 3 for 6 as the starter before suffering a torn ACL in week 11 at home versus the Panthers. It abruptly ended his sophomore season, just as the game was beginning to slow down for him mentally. Statistically, he finished with just under 2,000 yards, 1,982 to be exact, 9 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions, which tells you the efficiency was there, the poise was there, but the timing, consistency, and situational execution were not fully developed yet. And I want to give my thoughts on Michael Penix Jr. because Falcons fans, they are lopsided. Some think he's still the starter. Some think we should move on from Penix because of his injury history. Now, I'll admit, both sides are true. Both sides have every right to feel this way. But here's how I feel about Michael Penix Jr. He has a chance to be a good quarterback. I believe in Penix. He has shown it in Washington. He showed it his rookie year when he played the 3 games to replace Kirk Cousins. He has the chance to be a good quarterback. It's just the situation that he was in was uncomfortable. And not to mention, we lost Caleb McGarry, the right tackle, and he was responsible for taking Penix's blind side. So I do think that, in a way, losing Caleb McGarry could have negatively impacted Michael Penix. I do think that he has a chance. He has all the tools. He just needs the right coaching. Zach Robinson has failed him. Raheem Morris has failed him. But now, both of these men are gone, and I'll get to that later. But nonetheless, I think Penix is still the quarterback. I have high hopes for him going into 2026 and beyond. So, who replaced Cousins? Who replaced Penix? None other than the guy Penix replaced back in 2024, Kirk Cousins. He took over and stabilized things for a while, finishing 5-5 down the stretch, starting 8 games and appearing in 2 others. Cousins threw for 1,721 yards and 10 touchdowns. He also had a handful of interceptions. He wasn't spectacular, but he kept his team competitive. The problem was that the offense had to reset again, and rhythm never truly came together. Kicking situations quietly played a role all season long. Missed opportunities, bad field position, and lack of confidence in key moments turned close games into losses, and those losses piled up early. And special teams also had a very atrocious and egregious season all year round. Multiple mistakes that cost the Falcons time after time again. So now let's talk about how this season actually played out, week by week, prediction versus reality, because this is where the 89 record truly makes sense. So week one, we hosted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I had this as a loss. Even though it was a new season, a fresh start, and home energy, we took the loss in reality. So offensive rhythm, missed chances early, and a defense that did enough to keep the game close but didn't get rewarded. A winnable game loss. And the loss was really on Youngway Koo for missing that kick. He would go on to get released by the Falcons a few days later. In week two, we went over the road to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. I had this as a win. This was the first time that we saw what this team could truly be like, or could potentially be like at the time when things got together. The defense played fast, the pass were there, the pass defense was there, the run game traveled, and execution showed up. Then we have week three in Carolina, and that was the first gut punch. I expected a competitive game. Instead, there was nothing to be found for the Falcons. No offense, no defense, no special teams. No rhythm, no momentum, no mentors. This was the first infuriating loss of the year, getting shut out 30-0. Then in week four, hosting the Commanders, I had the Falcons bouncing back, and they delivered. They snapped a losing skid against the Commanders all time because prior to that game, they lost their 5 straight matchups against the Commanders. So now they broke that streak and beat the Commanders. One of the cleaner early performances, and this is the kind of win that makes you think stability was coming. In week five, we took a surprisingly very, very, very early bye. Coming out of the bye in week six, I expected another close game. But the Falcons, instead of keeping it close, they exceeded expectations. The run game dominated. The defense controlled the line of scrimmage, and for a moment, it felt like this team has found its identity. And then week 7 was one of the few games versus the 49ers. Week 6, by the way, was at home versus the Bills in the throwbacks. But going back to week 7. Week 7 on the road versus the 49ers. It was one of the few games where prediction has matched reality. I had it as a loss, and the opponent was simply better that day. And this was the first time that we saw signs of injury from Michael Penix Jr. Week 8, we're back at home, hosting the Miami Dolphins, and it brought frustration back. I expected a win, a big win. Instead, everything broke down. Defense, offense, special teams, and we got blown out by the Dolphins. A reminder that the margin for error was razor thin. Then in week 9, we took on a team that we dreaded for years, since 2017. You know who I'm talking about. It's the Patriots. I said we would win against the Patriots. They were competitive, physical, and had chances to close it out, but they didn't. A 1-point loss to find the season. 1 point. That's how much we lost by. In week 10, I predicted a win, but reality delivered one of the worst. We lost again. The defense did everything they could to give the offense chances to win, but the offense could not do anything. This defense had 7 sacks against the Colts in Berlin. 7. They brought the pressure, and then eventually they got gassed out. So what else were they supposed to do? They really blew it up. The, the offense stinked. Week 10. Then comes Week 11. We're back at home, hosting the Panthers again. And that was the turning point of the season. Penix would tear his ACL, and Cousins would have to replace him. The game plan flips midstream. From that moment on, the season felt different. We go into overtime again, we lose again. This time, it's more brutal because it marks a series sweep for the Panthers against the Falcons. We now move to week 12, fully in the Kirk Cousins era. I expected a gritty game and a win, and that's what I got. We needed a win that could at least keep the season alive until the next loss. And sure enough, we lost again. In week 13, we lost to the Jets. The Jets of all football teams. This was by far the most infuriating loss of the entire season. Execution failed. We were just so discombobulated on all sides of the football. Then comes week 14 where we host the Seattle Seahawks, and this is where all hell breaks loose. The Falcons decide not to play football, and they get trucked and demolished by the Seahawks. With that loss, it penultimately ended their playoffs hopes, and they were eliminated from playoff contention yet again. And then guess what? Something strange happened. From weeks 15 through 18, after playoff elimination, the Falcons finally played free. I predicted wins in all of these games, and for once, reality matched expectations. The offense looked confident, the defense dominated, the pass rush took over. A 4-game win streak, the exact stretch that we needed earlier in the season. And that's the cruel irony. When you add it all up, that's how you get 8 and 9. Not because the Falcons were bad, but because it's not even because they lacked talent, but it's because they lost close games early, found rhythm too late, and never stabilized the most important position on the field. Stats wise, the comparison tells the same story. In 2024, the Falcons scored 389 points, totaled 40 touchdowns, and piled up 6,502 yards, but they threw 19 ghastly interceptions and allowed 32 sacks. A year later, in 2025, the production dipped to 329 points, 36 touchdowns, and 5,841 yards. But the interceptions they dropped to 8, and the sacks allowed fell to 26. We played cleaner football, but we were less explosive. But on the defense is where the story really shows out. The leap was enormous. From 31 sacks in 2024, which would have been second to last, to 57 sacks in 2025, which is second to first. We broke the franchise record under 1 year. In 1 year, think about it. 1 year under Jeff Ulbrich, we broke the sack record. It just makes me wonder what's going to happen in 2026. Do we break it again? Or do we stay right in the middle, like close to that, but we don't break the record? And that massive leap from defense, it's all thanks to James Pierce Jr. He gets an automatic A plus after leading the team with 10 and a half sacks as a rookie. An immediate game-changing player. Immediate impact, franchise-changing potential. You gotta give James Pierce credit where credit is due. He was electric. Arnold Ebiketie, he earns a B. He provided consistent pressure even when he didn't finish. Even though he didn't get a lot of sacks, he still brought pressure. He deserves his flowers. David Onyemata gets a B minus, anchoring the interior and doing the dirty work. Caden Ellis earns an A minus, leading the team with 107 tackles and setting the tone every week. In the secondary, Jesse Bates III gets an A, finishing with 98 tackles, 3 interceptions, and yet another pick six. Xavier Watts, the rookie, he earns an easy A plus, leading the team with 5 interceptions. And that's with all the rookies too. AJ Terrell, he earns a B with a bounce back season. And this is where depth matters. The other rookie linebacker, Jalen Walker, he gets a B for versatility and flashes. He may not have gotten as much sacks as Dangerous Jr., but he still provided pressure and he still made plays. Billy Bowman earns a B minus for competing and showing instinct of a young defensive back until he got injured. Hopefully in year two, he bounces back and he has a tremendous sophomore year. Divine Diablo, he gets another A. He was solid all year around. Brandon Dollars, he also gets an A. He had an impressive second year. Let's move on to the offense. We all know it. Bijan Robinson, he gets an automatic A plus. 1,478 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns. He was the identity of the offense. Tyler Algier, give him an A too. He was electric. Bulldozing defenders here and there. He had 514 yards and 8 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts, on the other hand, he gets a B. 928 yards and 5 touchdowns. A bounce back year for the tight end out of Florida. And Drake London, I will give him a B plus with 919 yards and 7 touchdowns. Darnell Mooney, we have not heard much from him, so he will get a C plus. He ran some good routes, had some good plays, but overall it was not like 2024. Michael Penix Jr. himself, he gets a B minus based on growth and efficiency before the injury. He wasn't great, but he also wasn't terrible. He had flashes, but I think he can do more. Kirk Cousins, he gets a C plus for stabilizing but not elevating. He had some good moments, but overall, Cousins could not do much to help the team get over the hump. And special teams wise, they get a D. There's no sugarcoating it. They were very piss poor all year round. So now, where do we go from here? This was the final decision. After the Week 18 game, despite the late season surge, ownership finally pulled the plug. Head coach Raheem Morris, general manager Terry Fontenot, and CEO Rich McKay were all fired. This was not about one season. This was about finally turning the page and going in a different direction. So, speaking of directions, where do the Falcons go from here? The new staff. In January, the Falcons hired former MVP, franchise legend, Matt Ryan, to be the president of football operations. Who did Matt Ryan choose to be the head coach? It's the former Browns head coach, Kevin Stefanski. Who is the offensive coordinator? It's not Zach Robinson, who will go on to take out a job with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Falcons' new offensive coordinator is Tommy Rees. On defense, Kevin Stefanski saw what Ulbrich did and said, this is a guy that we cannot afford to lose. So what did he do? He retained Ulbrich. That's right, folks. Jeff Ulbrich will be the defensive coordinator for 2026 and beyond. They also retained Nate Ollie. Another good choice was to get rid of Marquise Williams. Craig Uckerman will be the special teams coordinator, replacing Marquise Williams. So, at the time of recording this video, the Falcons have yet to find a general manager, but it is coming to an end soon. That search could very well be coming to an end, and it's possible it is Ian Cunningham. That is my prediction, that Ian Cunningham would be the Falcons' new general manager. But now I want to end it with this. The 2025 season was supposed to be electric, a year where we finally make the playoffs and show the world that we can be a very electric team, especially after beating the Buffalo Bills, which put the league on notice. That was the chance to show that, hey, we're here and we can make plays. But the wheels fell off very quickly and we failed to get back on top. So, what's you, Falcons fans? How do you feel about the 2025 season? Let me know down below in the comment section and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 1 of Falcons Talk. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have not already, please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below what you want to see next. With that out of the way, this is Down One Falcons fan signing out. Until next time, peace.